Afternoon, Bill.
Hello, Mark. How are you today? It's been trying to rain, then the sun comes out, and I'm not sure it knows what to do.
Winter in Victoria, Bill.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I didn't go rowing this morning, so it wasn't so cold on my fingers today. I went for a walk instead. Now, we're at the old City Hall today,
We're at the old City Hall.
as they call it, in Geelong.
It's been a while since I've sat in this room at the back, but it's good.
No, it's great. Now, one of the interesting things this week, did you see that there is a lady in Geelong called Linda Williams, and our guest's brother was actually photographed with her. She turned 110. Do you know anyone that's ever been
110? No, that's a great age, isn't it?
Right.
Isn't that magnificent?
Anyway, let's move on because I don't think I'll make 110, but we'll see what happens.
You're trying.
That's right. All right.
So today's guest, Bill.
Today we've got Eddy Kontelj, and is a well-known face in Geelong.
Absolutely.
I think his face is well-known, but he's a well-known person. And in a past interview, it's not about his brother, but we did interview his brother, so we won't mention him again, right? But welcome, Eddy.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, Eddy, we start with the usual. Where did you go to primary school?
Yes, so I completed my primary school years at Holy Family Primary School, and that's still going now in Separation Street in Bell Park. We settled in Bell Post Hill after my parents had spent a little bit of time in Bell Park, and so the obvious choice was the local Catholic school, which was Holy Family.
And high school?
And so high school, I went to Bell Park Technical School, which was on Anarchy Road. Now, unfortunately, the school's no longer there. We've got the Crow Care, the aged services is there now, and the corner block's empty. But yes, I went to a technical school.
Actually, it's always interesting that, because the high school I went to in the UK got demolished many years ago, and you almost feel a little bit of an orphan because you go past it and think, there was a school there.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You like to sort of, have some connections with your education. That's why it's nice driving up Separation Street and still seeing Holy Family there.
Yeah.
And from time to time, I still get to visit, which is nice.
Which is good.
That's right. And Eddy, interesting, you said you went to a tech school. Wouldn't we love to have some tech schools back now?
Yeah, it really was a great initiative, particularly for those kids that perhaps didn't connect so much with academia,
That's right.
and already at those young years had a passion or a liking of working with their hands, or perhaps were more technically orientated. They were a great establishment for that.
Well, now in year 11 and 12, they've got what they call the VET program.
Yes.
And I know St Joseph's here in Geelong have got one, and I only recently found out that Sacred Heart have got a VET program as well. I just think it's such an important issue. And just whilst I'm on that, I see that Clonard, which is around the corner, have changed their curriculum, and I must find out what that's about. But it's good to see that people are sort of innovating in education. That's what I like.
I really do think that's terrific, because one of the things that was really special about the school that I went to, and I'm sure that the other technical schools in Geelong were similar, is that you had really passionate and capable teachers that came from the trade. Yeah. So for me, automotive was something that I really enjoyed. And I still remember, Mr. Ritchie was my teacher, and he was a terrific automotive teacher.
And even these days, you're playing with big toys. But we'll get to that.
And isn't it funny that we always refer to past teachers as Mr. or Ms. or whatever? It never changes. I love it.
It's strange, it's interesting you say that, because I have a teacher from my primary school years who was really prominent in my life, and her name is Mrs. Stoneham. And she's on Facebook with me. She messaged me and said, "Look, you really don't need to call me Mrs. Stoneham." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but I feel awkward calling you anything else."
It's very true. It's very true.
That's right.
So high school, what were your ambitions? What were you thinking of going to do?
Well, look, it was interesting with technical schools and high schools, and I've said this many a time. When you were in that era, you were almost making a decision where your career might go, at least initially, at the end of primary school. Okay. So going back to what I said before, I enjoyed motorbikes. My dad was a fitter and turner. I was always mucking around in the garage with him. So was my brother Stretch. In fact, Stretch was quite capable with his hands, and we would be welding things and making billy carts. We'd make our own skateboards, things of that nature. And, getting up to mischief as well, in the garage and things of that nature. And then when I got to grade 6 and it was time to make a decision, it was pretty easy for me. Bell Park Tech had woodwork, Bell Park Tech had machine shop, Bell Park Tech had auto. And whilst my sister and Stretch had gone to North Geelong High School, for me it was a pretty easy decision to go to Bell Park Technical School. And that's what probably led me to then follow the career that I did, and probably led me to this point, to be quite honest.
But you probably went to school every day with a smile on your face.
No, I really... Well, look...
That's the other advantage.
Like most kids, I wanted to get out of school as quick as I possibly could. Not because I necessarily disliked school, but, you're just ready for your next adventure, I guess.
That's right. Now, whilst you're sort of getting to that older age, did you have any part-time jobs?
Oh, yeah. I worked pretty much from, year 7, year 8 onwards. Well, actually in primary school, we we're doing all sorts of things to make money. I don't know why, but we just enjoyed the fun of it, collecting aluminium cans. And I often say I spent half my youth in dumpsters, particularly when Coria Village just opened, and we'd go down there, we'd fill our bags with aluminium cans and then go home and fill the aluminium cans with dirt so that they weighed more. And of course, put them to the bottom of the bag, and then off you went to Sims Metal to sell them, probably so you could go to the Milk Bar on Anarchy Road and buy lollies from the Nardies.
Well, I know your type, because in Footscray I had a large soft drink company and had a cash can centre. Remember those?
Yes,
and
I do.
People used to come along and we'd have to weigh the cans. And I always went looking for bricks in the bottom of the bags before I'd pay out.
Well, we were brought up on Noddy's drink. Don't worry about that, Bill. I remember the trucks coming round. And look, then when I got to primary school, I had a number of part-time jobs. First was with Frank's Cakes and Catering. We used to do the waiting for, all the weddings that were going on in Geelong at the time. Yeah. I remember the Macedonian weddings and the Croatian weddings and the Italian weddings. And I was working with older guys, but we used to have the most fun. And then in Form 3, I think it was, or Year 9, I got a job with a small engineering company on Packington Street, just near the Ukrainian Hall there. And he used to make cray trowels for the back of boats, and we would be welding all day. And I really honed my skills in terms of welding. And then it was really deciding where to go from there, because he offered me an apprenticeship during that year. But my heart was probably more so in engines and mobile vehicles, and so I then took up apprenticeship with Cam Dawson Ford at the end of year 10.
That's fantastic.
That's really good.
That's really cool.
Right.
And where did that then lead to? Your apprenticeship was for how long? So
apprenticeship was for 4 years.
Yep.
And as soon as I started working with Cam Dawson Ford, I immediately knew that I'd picked the right place. I just felt comfortable there. And within about a year or two, it was probably my dad said to me, cars are great and you're obviously enjoying it. But he goes, I'd really think about upgrading your skills to diesel. And I did. I went and did some additional studies and achieved my heavy stream of diesel mechanics at the end of my apprenticeship.
Where did you do that?
So I did that through the TAFE system that we had here in Geelong.
Yep. Cool.
So I used to do all of my apprenticeship school at East Tech, and then the diesel qualifications was through Gordon at the time.
Now, Eddie, am I right in saying that a diesel mechanic is worth their weight in gold?
It really is.
Right, because they're scarce.
It really is. One great thing about that trade is, and I know there's others like that, but one great thing about the diesel mechanics trade is you can get work anywhere at any time. No matter where you are in the world, if you are hard up on $1, you will get work, because They're just so sought after.
That's right.
And why are they so scarce? What's the... Is it a tricky...
Look, there's a lot of demand. There is a hell of a lot of demand for heavy-duty diesel mechanics, whether it be in the transport industry, the ag, mining and resources sector. 2, I think less and less people are actually going into that trade now, particularly with the way that the school systems have gone. Yep. Probably not as attractive as IT or marketing or things of that nature. And
probably a lot of kids now don't even know what a diesel engine is or a diesel motor, given that with the current move to EVs and all the rest of it.
Still a need, though.
Eddie, so just... Right, if you look at you now and you're on boards all over the place and you've run a huge sort of William Adams, Caterpillar operation, all the rest of it. So you've come in a totally different, I guess, end point to what you were when you finished that apprenticeship. So what was the next thing after your apprenticeship? After your diesel mechanics, what was the next, I call them tipping points. How were you tipped into another direction?
Yes. The benefit I've had and the fortune that I've had is, for some reason, at different points in my life, it was quite clear what I wanted to do. So as I was going through my apprenticeship, once again, I did try and do things to make extra dollars, I guess, at the time. And so I'd be working on cars during the weekend whilst I had my day job, cashies and homers, as you'd call them. But once I started to get involved in heavy equipment, I knew that I wanted to go to the mines. So as soon as I finished my apprenticeship, I feel a bit awful about it, but I did it as respectfully as possible. As soon as I finished my apprenticeship, within a couple of weeks, I left my apprenticeship and I went straight up to the Northern Territory. In fact, Stretch came with me. We had a bit of a holiday on the way up and a bit of an adventure, and then off I went. And so what I was chasing at the time was adventure and a way to make some decent dollars, because working as a mechanic on cars, I was working hard, but I had enough money to have fun. It was okay. It's not as if I had any real responsibilities, but that was probably what took me to mining. And so after about a year or so in Northern Territory, I then went to Kalgoorlie in Western Australia and spent probably the next sort of 9 odd years working in and out throughout the mines of Western Australia, up the Pilbara. And I was always driven, not necessarily to the end point, but I always wanted to continue to advance myself, I guess. And in the mining industry, it's quite transient. And so what happens is opportunities arise often. And if you're willing to take those opportunities and you're willing to work hard, you can prosper quite quickly. So as a young man, I was in supervisory roles and management roles probably way before I should have been. And not that I'd had any training or anything like that, but you learn, you soon learn. And so I really, really enjoyed that. And that led me to go and work overseas in Chile for 3.5 years. I was the maintenance manager in Chile. I was working at some of the largest mines in the world at the time, Escondida, still one of the largest mines in the world, and having a ball, really. And so they were the stepping stones that I guess led me to start to get more involved in management and senior management. And then we returned. I actually got married in 1998.
Just as well you got that right.
Yes, in 1998. Yes. And then I went back to Chile with my wife at the time. We did another 12 months there, which was amazing. And then we conceived our first daughter in Chile, and there was an opportunity to go to Russia, which I was really excited about. Again, just chasing adventure.
Yep.
Yeah. But my wife and myself felt that the right thing to do would be to come back to Geelong, where we had a good support network, and that's what we did. So in 1999, we returned back to Geelong, and I joined William Adams as a mechanic again. And so that's the first time I'd worked with William Adams, and I started with them here in Geelong.
That's good. And on the education front, I know that you did a diploma in business at the Gordon at one stage. You're in the Leaders for Geelong program. And finally, you finished off, you got an MBA at Deakin University. So you certainly progressed. When I talked about tipping points, that probably is not a good explanation anymore, is it? Right?
No, That's right. So, as I started to enjoy different aspects of the industries that I was working in, you soon identify that there are areas that you need to work on if you want to continue to progress in those business pursuits. And so that's what I did. The employer that I've had for the last 26 years now, and particularly 25 years of that with William Adams, have been extraordinary in their support of further education, and also extraordinary and generous with their opportunities to allow me and many other employees in the group to have a go at different things.
So what's your role now?
So I started a new role in September last year as Executive Director of the Elphinstone Group. And prior to that, I spent 25 years at William Adams, and the last 8.5 years of that, I was Managing Director.
And you were based in Clayton, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
So how often did you commute from Geelong to Clayton?
I would be in Clayton at least 3 to 4 days a week, and then probably a day a week at our Laverton branch. But, in the role of Managing Director, my thought has always been is that you have to be where the people are. And, we've got 700 odd employees in William Adams, and it's important to be there, particularly, during that difficult time that we all went through during COVID, where there was so much instability and people were looking for security and leadership. I just felt it was really important to be there.
Are you scattered? Are the branches scattered?
Yes, we have 13 branches throughout Victoria and Tasmania.
Okay.
So we're in most of the regional towns, and we're in Hobart, Launceston and Burnie.
Now, one thing I didn't know, Eddie, until I first thought about contacting you to interview you and looked up your details, is there's a big mining industry still operating in Tasmania.
Oh, my word, there is. I spent 3 years of my working time with William Adams running the maintenance team at Savage River Mine, which is in Tasmania. That's an open cut mine that mines magnetite. And we had a large fleet of mining equipment. In fact, probably the second or third largest truck that Caterpillar makes was working in Tasmania. And they have a very rich and healthy underground mining industry in Tasmania, which we're heavily involved in terms of equipment supply.
Now, that's probably where I picked that up. There was a press article about a new piece of equipment you've made that is made especially to go down those underground mines. That's probably where I picked up.
Correct.
Now, just a quick aside story, I know somebody, a female, who drives one of those gigantic trucks up in Queensland, out in the mines, and her father was telling me the other day she was driving one and it had a slip, and she wasn't. She got out of it, I think, by the sound of it, and it fell right down the whole thing in the bottom of the mine, and they just buried it, left it there.
That's true.
Right?
That
I couldn't get it out.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
I thought that was smart. You just don't know these things.
Lucky she got out.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what other directorship roles have you got going, Eddie? Where else are you sitting?
So currently I sit on 4 boards with the group. I sit on and chair a company called DRAC Mechanical. And what we do in DRAC is we manufacture and install power generation units. So where you may have a data centre or a landfill site or a hospital, we have a diesel engine, a control system. We build the packaging around and the sound attenuation so that if there's a power loss, these engines cut in and provide power. We're doing a lot of work in that space now. It's been really exciting, and we operate all throughout Australia at the moment with DRAC. Head offices in Pakenham, and we've also got a manufacturing facility in Terralgan. I sit on the board of United Equipment and Access, so we have the Caterpillar forklift dealership for Australia, and we also have an access arm with, working platforms, cherry pickers, as you may know, scissor lifts, things of that nature, and Caterpillar forklifts and reach stackers, container handlers, things of that nature. We're all throughout Australia with that business. I also sit on the board of a business that we have called Hydrocrew. It's a hydraulic hose and coupling franchise. So we go out and fix hydraulic hoses on machinery and equipment, like a Pertec, I guess, to a degree.
I was going to mention Pertec. I did some work with them at one stage. Yeah, I'll never forget Mark Webber. A hose burst out at Smorgon Steel Mill. Well, I don't think I've ever been so hot in my life trying to fix that hydraulic hose.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm also on the Elphinstone Advisory Board, and I also look after our entire property portfolio.
So diesel's in your blood then, isn't it?
It is, yes. I guess diesel and hydraulics is in my blood.
It's very cool. And you're also on the Geelong Art Gallery?
I am now,
so
yes.
What led you into that side of things?
Well, I suppose given that I'm a councillor, from time to time we get different opportunities to engage in different areas, and the gallery's a board that I've wanted to be on for quite some time, but it's quite sought after.
It is.
Good board. And so I've sort of waited my time, and the opportunity came this term to sit on the board, and I grabbed it with both arms. It's not something that I'm all that knowledgeable about, but it's something that I do enjoy and something that I wanted to learn more about, and I just think it's quite exciting what's occurring in that space in Geelong. And the other nice little committee that I sit on that I really enjoy is Geelong Major Events. Yep. That's really enjoyable given all the things that we're trying to do and all the great events that we have in Geelong.
Fantastic. And what got you into politics?
So, look, I guess politics is something that's been something our families enjoyed. You know that Stretch has been involved for a long time. Yep. So it would be great conversations that we would have trying to fix all the problems of the world. And when I came back from Tasmania in 2007, and I was living in Bellpost Hill at the time, and you could just see, well, in my opinion, that things weren't quite right, and there was more that could be done for that community. Quite a multicultural community, still is. And I guess I felt that I had a skill set and qualities that could add value, and it was one of those things where, well, you either stop, whinging about it, or you put your hand up and have a go at trying to, have an impact. So in 2008, I ran in the council election, and I wasn't successful. I was defeated by David Saunderson. And then,
and you haven't forgiven him ever since, by the sounds of it.
No, I was actually, I hold no grudges, but in that 12-month period after the election, the infamous David Saunderson was removed from council, as you may know. And so in 2009, there was a by-election that ran over that January period. And so I think it was January 2010 I was elected during the by-election.
Cool. That's very cool. That's very good.
And you're still on council.
And I'm still on council.
Yeah, well, now, so I guess personally and as a councillor, describe your vision for Geelong over the next 5-year period.
Well, what I'd like to continue to see us do is to continue to create, I guess, an environment where people can aspire and be successful in whatever they choose to do. And whether that be business, whether that be, social inclusion, whether that be creating a life for their family that's safe, enjoyable, and also seeing Geelong grow in the right way. I'd also like to see the CBD be proud and be the heart of Geelong again. And I think we really do have a wonderful councillor group at the moment and a good executive team that will allow us to do that. We've got so much going for us in Geelong, and we've got a great history, but our future's even more exciting, and we can build off the history that we have. And we've always been really strong in manufacturing and in industry, and we still are. It's just different. what Hanwha are doing with defence out at Avalon, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Elphinstone have the arrangement with them. So we build the defence vehicle hulls and turret in Burnie, Tasmania, and then they get shipped here to Avalon, and the rest of the defence vehicle gets built here. In fact, I was just in our defence facility in Burnie last week, where we were building the howitzer hulls and turret. So, you know, all those skills that we have from the days of Ford and Pilkingtons and Alcoa and the Wire Works, you know, they're still being used, but in different areas.
Do they come over on the ferry?
Yes, they come over on a ship
to Geelong Port.
And then they get assembled here at Avalon.
And Geelong Port's another one of these assets that we have that you don't realise how much goes through it and what gets done there.
Absolutely, and that's going to be more and more prominent as we move further.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
They've got a good CEO, my namesake.
Your namesake.
Same namesake, and we are friends.
He's a good guy,
with him. And it's interesting, we're no relation. You know, which is interesting, but he's doing a great job.
He's doing an excellent job.
And I'm talking about Brett Winter.
No, I know. Brett's doing an excellent job.
A great job. So the whole issue of the CBD, and I've spent a little bit of time in Newcastle and seen what they've done up there, and opening up the waterfront and all the rest of it. We're still in an economic crisis, in my opinion. So I believe it's going to take a little while until we see things, start to move again. Probably, as people will say, everyone's talking interest rates. Well, it's just the way the world is, the way Geelong is. It's going to take a bit of time, but it's going to happen. I'm absolutely sure of that. And it'll be really good. And if you talk to another person we interviewed on a podcast called Gareth Kent, right, he'd want to pull down Market Square, but we won't go there today. We'll leave that for another time.
But the opportunities are there, and that's I like your passion for that.
Most business leaders and capable business leaders ride those ups and downs, and I can only speak, I guess, for the people that I associate with in our business. Notwithstanding that the environment is challenging, a good investment and a good opportunity is still a good investment and a good opportunity. And regardless of where you are, if it's right, you will continue to pursue it. And, we've been buying businesses in the last 18 months because they are good businesses. And they'll be better businesses when the environment improves as well.
And that's what we're looking at, and that's why I believe it's got a great future. Now, talking about leadership, one of my favourite topics. So what do you believe are your key attributes as a leader, having been through all the roles that we've detailed in just over the last few moments? So, and normally I say, what if we ask your direct reports, describe Eddy's leadership style, how would you answer that?
Yeah, look, I'm not perfect by any means, and some of my response will sound a little bit cliche, but I'm a people person, and I think my leadership is through engagement with people. The businesses and the business units that I've been leading have been people populated, and you really need to get the team on board to get things achieved. When you're in really tough situations, whether that be environment or otherwise, and for instance, the time that I spent in Antarctica, it's all about team. And so you've got to have the hearts and mind, and you've got to have your people's back, but people want direction. And so I suppose I spend a lot of time with people, including our customers, which is very, very important. I don't expect anyone to do anything that I wouldn't be prepared to do myself or haven't done myself. And I guess I do value hard work and people willing to have a go. There's a lot of intelligent people that haven't succeeded, not through lack of intelligence, but lack of endeavour. And yet there are a lot of people that aren't all that educated that have gone to great heights because of their work ethic. So I really value that.
Have you ever read the book on Shackleton,
I'm starting to read it.
When you mentioned Antarctica, it suddenly popped into my mind because he has held up his leadership and the way he, for over a year, those guys trekked across Antarctica because he always believed that they would get out of there. And he had a motley crew and they believed in him as the leader.
And if you've got a good team or a great team, I believe it doesn't matter what business you get into or what initiative you want to take on, you will get it done because the people will get it done. It's about building good teamwork and great people around you.
So Eddy, that's been a really good chat. I've got to really know what you're about, and I've enjoyed that. And Bill, thanks for arranging it.
No, it's a pleasure. I've had him in my eyesight for a while.
No, it's very good.
And just one quick final issue. You're into sport like crazy. So now I know you're very heavily involved in soccer and all this, but I've seen you running along the waterfront here, regularly. So what's your favourite external activity when it comes to outdoors?
Oh yeah, by far running is my favourite because it's so mobile, and because with all the travelling I do, all I need is a pair of sneakers and I can get it done. But what I'm really excited about, and I'm hoping you've seen a little bit on this, Bill and Mark, but we're so close to delivering Geelong's first marathon on September the 20th, 2026. And I'm working really closely with Lee Troop. He's the promoter. Yep. I'm just trying to help with opening some doors and getting the right environment for him. But that will be a wonderful thing for Geelong. I did the New York Marathon in 2023 and 54,000 people ran that race. And, I believe in our first race here, we'll have over 10,000 people.
Good. Well, I'll be watching from the sidelines.
So, Eddy, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck with the marathon. It should be great for Geelong. So really look
Thanks, Eddy.
forward to it.
Thank you, Bill.
Take care.